Okay, so we've got a spring clamp here and the spanner nut, and we're going to go ahead and take those off. Taking those off is going to allow us to either remove the tub and separate the inner tub from the outer tub. A lot of times people get a rusted inner tub, other leaking seals that need to be replaced. So taking this out is going to allow us to be able to drop that transmission to get to the clutch assembly that's at the top of the transmission, and that's this part right here. Now for our model, they do include, when you get the factory certified parts replacements, 2 springs so that you can take the spring out and reload a different one, like if you've got a stacked washing unit or a compact washing unit. But this is the standard size that they include loaded in it. Now this is a spanner remover tool, or a spanner nut remover tool. It can be really hard to get 2 hands on this to spin that around, and this can be very expensive to get. I knew, being an appliance repair, this is a tool that I was going to need over time. For the length of time that we own our appliances, for the length of time that we own our homes, and how hard families can be on washers. Since this can be costly and expensive to buy this tool, you can do this with a hammer and chisel. I don't really recommend it unless you can find a really short, wide screwdriver. You want to make sure that you don't hit this porcelain enamel of the tub with your swing back before you hit that. But very few people are able to actually get this off easily enough, because that sucker is on there good. So it actually wants to turn the whole tub instead of coming off. So we're going to work on this a little bit. It's going. That wasn't that bad at all. I have done these before that I've worked on them for a half an hour and not had them come off. So that just threads right on there. We got it right off easy. This is a cast aluminum, I believe. So I have had these actually chip and break, but you know what? You can still get them back on and reuse it. These parts really start adding up if you start causing damage like that. So that's what we're looking at in the tub now, with everything inside removed. Okay, so at this point I have to go after the transmission. This particular unit has 3 bolts, so I have to get those out so I can drop that. And in my case, again, I'm using a 1/2-inch socket wrench. If you have trouble getting these out, if you can find a small pipe to put over the end of your handle to give you leverage, that will help you tremendously. If I can do this, you can do it too. Now be careful. Don't damage those splines. These splines, this is all of your drive shaft coming up out of your transmission. And here is your clutch assembly right here. Now that shouldn't be spinning around inside of here, and these little clutch pads actually get wore out. And that's where I was having trouble. My washing machine would work in one cycle and not in another. So we're going to take this off. There is also a brake cam driver. Here you've got a flange that's included. We got to put that on. And a retainer ring. So still up here attached to the bottom of the washing machine, we've got to get that all off and go in reverse. Now do yourself a favor and don't be tempted to skip this brake cam driver because it is made of plastic and these plastic parts will wear out. And keep in mind too that you've gotten this far, so don't let this little retainer clip be your Achilles heel, because later on this is going to drive you batty and drive you to the store. And you know what? Washing machines are a lot more now than they were 10 years ago. And that salesman is going to want to push you to buy a fancy new front load washing machine that you can't work on yourself. My best advice I can give you for these retainer clips is get a screwdriver, put it right there at that end piece, right there, and just kind of pry it out, and then you'll get it to slide up out of its position. So once I got that retainer out, we had the brake cam driver, and we had this nifty little steel piece in there with another plastic collar that goes at the bottom of the washing machine. So these have all got to go back in order. Pay attention to what you are doing. If you'll notice, see those little holes there? It's got to line up with the holes or the pegs on the bottom of the brake cam driver. These parts all go back on. Alright, quick swap out of those parts, and now it's time to move on to this. Here we've got another metal collar. Lots of different washers and collars that work together. Remember that the rounded side goes up, put that aside. And we've got another spring-loaded clamp here, holding that on. Just take that and pry it right out. That aside. So now we have to deal with getting this little retainer ring off of the original clutch, and I can tell you it looks like you're going to have to pry it out right here in between to get that to go up and pop on out of the grooves that it's sitting in here. Oh, that wasn't so bad. Came off pretty slick. Still usable. We'll still swap it out and put it aside. Now this should slide right off. There we go. See that? It doesn't slide around, but the inside, this discoloring right here, is probably showing me signs of wear. See that? All right, now we got it. Okay. Now I wiggled that right there. Make sure that this is all lining up here, and it's going to sit right down in there. All these little metal pieces are going right in between, like teeth, of the others. So that's locked in. Now we got to get this back on. Now this is the part where needle nose pliers come in handy, and this is where I always end up stabbing myself with a screwdriver. So don't do as I do, just do what's right for you. So I've got that little tab that goes down into the clutch in, and I am trying to coax this in just kind of a section at a time. And of course your, metal screwdriver on a metal ring. I honestly have tried just pinching it, and I can't really get a tight grip on it. The design of many things seem to be heavily designed to deter the homeowner from doing the work themselves. Just think of it like a puzzle and go at it a step at a time. There we go. That wasn't so bad. Back in. Look at that. Okay. Retainer clip. Do it again. Alright, that's sitting right down in that groove. Metal collar. Alright. Feels good. Oh, that's sweet. Alright, now we can go ahead and put that transmission right back where we got it. Okay, that part is that part. We are in better shape now. I'm just going to put the motor back on. We're already down here, we might as well. All right. That is it for that. The motor is all hooked up to the transmission. And now we can hook our drain back up. Alright, we're going to lower her back down. Alright, give myself and give yourself a pat on the back if you've made it this far. We're putting the spanner nut back on. Just going to tighten that down. And we're going to use our nut tool. And we're going to get it nice and snug again. Now I know that that's not going to be tight enough, so I'm going to give it a whack. I want it as snug on as it was coming off. And if you notice, I'm using a rubber mallet so that I don't damage the inside porcelain of the tub. So that should be good. I'll put these collars back on. Alright, perfect. We're going to get this back up and we're going to get it back together today. Okay, don't get overwhelmed now. You're almost done. We're just going to get this tub reassembled. First, we got the agitator back in. That is just sitting in there on top of everything. Set it down, give it a wiggle. Make this point, looking at all the parts you have left, what goes on next. Sometimes you just kind of have to figure it out as you go. So we've got the agitator in, then the top part of the agitator, and this is where your feed dogs are going in next. They go in like this. I've got my screw and my spring assembly all right here, ready to drop in. Oh, that's looking wonderful. Now, we're going to snug that up. When you get it just about as tight as you think it needs to be, hold the bottom of the agitator and give it a good snugging up. Alright, we're almost there. It is looking more like a washing machine again. So you see these grooves, rubber gasket, little locking tabs. Snap that snapperoonie down. That's probably the one part I did not get cleaned. So now it's all working like it should. There you go. I'm not having to push down to make it work. Together, it's time to put the cabinet back on. And one thing to remember is watch your cords and don't forget to hook up your lid switch. The key here is making sure that the metal front lip goes under the frame. And this drain pan I have was interfering, so I just lifted it up again. Now, like I said, you gotta watch that wire. It slipped right down there and I didn't notice it. Okay, plug her in. Now, you see here, little spring clips. That sits right down in there. See that right there? You got to get that down in there before you push down.